Okay.
All right, welcome everyone to the second episode of the Slot One Super Podcast. Woo!
Hey!
Yeah! We're all so excited here. And I'll be honest, if I was staring
Nice.
at the screen for like 5-10 seconds, I apologize. I didn't know when actually the screen would like start.
He's just like me, for real.
I gave the cue, but I wanted to be sure that it would start before I started talking. But we're here, and of course, we are obviously. I'm Minato's Flash, right? I guess to my. Is it my right or my left? Technically, that doesn't even matter. Whatever. We have the Matt Sningen, and we have Dokkan assets. I think Dokkan assets would be to my kind of right. But it'd be like my left.
It's your left, but on the screen, it's to the right of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a JoJo poster now. Look, I'm gonna.
Let's go.
Every time, each podcast, something new is gonna be added to this wall, and then one day I'll be in a rich and famous mansion, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But
one day.
All right, we have a lot of topics to talk about, y'all. But I want to make sure you guys know before we start, the best way to, of course, support us on the podcast will be through via super chats or donations, and then all of them are going to be read out at the end. So if you have any questions for us, if you just have any general statements on what's going on with Dokkan and you want us to go ahead and read them, we will be reading every single super chat and a dono at the end of the stream. And again, not required, and we want to thank you all for your support, but if you're interested, it's an option right there. We'll be more than happy to read those, right? So, just without out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the first thing. I think the most important thing that we saw last night.
Yep.
A Part 2 LR teaser.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you can move over to the next screen. I don't know if there's a screen or something like that. Whatever. No. So we had a Sword of Hope Trunks teaser, right? So obviously it was about a minute or so, and we just kind of saw the whole Trunks' past and his present, stuff like that. And then at the end, he's like, "There's something I have to do." And then it's like right before the Sword of Hope thing. But I think it was very interesting. Dokkan asks, what are you thinking about that trailer? I think it looks pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. I was honestly kind of surprised that they didn't show more because, usually with the teaser trailers, when they do that sort of thing, obviously they're not showing all the new supers or animations or whatever, but usually they show just the card art in there somehow. I mean, even with the Potara rap, right? We saw the card arts in there, and I think there's a little snippet of animations in there. Hoping we get a part 2 version of the rap, by the way, because that would be a fantastic. But it was literally just Trunks' hand, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I think it's good because it really brings it back in that this is supposed to be a Trunks celebration, considering he hasn't had a unit yet besides the free-to-play one. So
I know, right?
It's pretty cool. The OST was crazy, by the way. I'm really hoping that that's actually Trunks' OST, because that song was great.
You know the funny thing? I was gonna record a video with that OST, and then I was told I think Ningen and Toon both got hit with copyright.
Yep.
I did too.
And I was I was like, maybe it was good to wait. I can mute that now. We'll play Persona in the background. We'll be good, right? That was just me though. But yeah, it might have been stock music or something. I saw Annie in chat said stock music. Could be like that, right? But it still sounded pretty good. Ningen, what are you thinking, right? Besides the old copyright thing?
Yeah, they got me. But yeah, it's I mean, I think at this point most people were on board with the idea that it was going to be Sword of Hope Trunks, right? Because they finally, as we talked about last week, right, they finally paired up Vegito with Zamasu the way it should be. Which means a lot of people kind of assumed that part 2 was going to end up being Goku Black and Trunks, because that's on a ton of the advertising stuff for the events and all the different artwork and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, whilst they didn't show really anything about the other unit, I mean, I think at this point, we always say never with Dokkan because they've done random things in the past, but it's surely 99.9999% is Sword of Hope Trunks, right? How could you see that as anything other than that? Because he looks at the broken sword, you see a flashback that basically covers everything he's done, because it's the Android Saga and like the part of the Super Saga, and then it goes back to the sword, and then the dialogue line bit at the end is the thing that he literally says to Zamasu.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, it kind of has to be, right? Like it'd be super weird for them to do the video like that and then it not be him. So again, whilst, you know, they always could do something random, I feel like it has to be him. And then of course the perfect thing to go along with that would obviously be Goku Black, but I guess we will find out on Tuesday. So
Yeah, we'll see.
I think that, you know, a lot, in my opinion, I think this also kind of, like, personally, I think this kind of, like, takes away, a lot of people wanted a Dragon Ball Z Trunks, and I think getting a Dragon Ball Z Trunks eventually would be cool, even if it was a celebration, but I feel like if we're going to get a Dragon Ball Z Trunks with this Dragon Ball Super Trunks, they would have shown all these Dragon Ball Z scenes, and they would have saved, like, all the future Gohan and the Android stuff for, like, another trailer, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are still expecting that. I feel like that kind of lessens the chance, but who knows? It could be Rose. I think there is still the possibility it's a Dragon Ball Z Trunks, but much less likely since we already saw the Dragon Ball Z Trunks kind of flashback. It wouldn't make sense. It would be basically like the same trailer twice. So I'm thinking it would be a completely different character, which would make sense, right? So Rose makes just a ton of sense to me. We'll find out next week at most, or maybe even tonight, right? At the time of this recording, who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get the next teaser soon. We do know that there's a live stream, or no, it's gonna be like a producer's letter kind of news thing that does release on the 12th in Japan time, around, I think it's 7 p.m. Japan time on the 12th, which is about 3 a.m. Pacific time, I think. So that's when we can kind of expect that. Now, we don't know if Global's gonna get that because that was like a line announcement, but assumingly, hopefully Global posts that, but
oh no, they posted both the Twitter accounts posted it, and it's in the in-game news as well. So that's why I said we'll find out on Tuesday because it's UK time. Finally, it's not some horrible time for me. It's at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So no more of this 3 a.m. producer letter nonsense. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock.
Why would they do 3 a.m. on a Tuesday? Hello,
welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Yeah, welcome to every single producer letter or data download if you live in the UK. So for me, it's actually a good time for once.
I mean, for me, all JP stuff drops at 1 in the morning anyway. So I guess it is what it is.
It's not a big deal for me either.
we just move through it, but so we know about part 2 of Lars. We'll get more information soon. And, you know, I guess we'll all cover in our respective channels. Dokkan Assets, I think he just kind of like with his figures, but we're good from there.
Listen, bro, I'll be banging the Trunks and Rose figures together like,
oh, you're gonna cover the new Dragon Ball anime news?
I mean, yeah, exactly, bro. Listen, I didn't want to spoil the announcement that's gonna be at New York Comic Con, but you know,
that's how.
Just wait and see.
Fingers crossed, but you know, for now, let's move on to what's currently here in Dokkan, and we have some new difficult content. Yes.
Yeah, we do.
So we got we got 4 stages last night, and some of them are pretty difficult. I think just get it out of the way. Let's talk about the newest Red Zone against it's just Zamasu, the name of the Red Zone, but I kind of like calling it Goku Black and Zamasu because the last
bosses, yeah.
Yeah, that's when things get really, really difficult. It's funny, Ningen, this man in the little we have like a little like, you know, kind of thing that we wrote just to prepare. This guy said the Red Zone is easy. What? I need to hear your opinion on that because I disagree. Bro's like, well, he has very high stats, but actually, I know him at first try.
GG easy.
Tell me what you did, buddy.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I did say on Twitter about it, and then I know Annie like linked me to the stats and everything. So like obviously, objectively, the stage is harder, right? The numbers are higher than the stage before. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I just found it really easy. So maybe I had like a super good run, super good RNG. It was the second try because the first try I think I took like a type disadvantage super basically straight away. But yeah, I mean, I definitely got, but that was obviously, I was trying to do it with no IMs as well right from the start. But I mean, I think I went back and checked my run, and to be fair, I did get an absolute god turn 1 because he's in the first phase and every single attack was in 1 slot. So I just put God Goku there. So, so it was, that's pretty good. But yeah, so like obviously looking at the stats, and I didn't realize because I don't think they ever did it to me, but looking at the stats, unless I'm reading it wrong, Goku Black and Zamasu can super twice in one turn. Yeah, so that didn't happen to me. So, so yeah, maybe I just got really, really lucky because I know some people did struggle. Big shout out! We've got to pay respects. We got to pay respects to our fallen soldier. Everybody salute. The first time I think I've ever seen this, our boy the Truth DT did not beat the stage. He had his own Mr. Baby moment. Used up all of his tries without actually winning, which. Like that's just crazy to me. I just could not believe it when someone told me. But
yeah,
the funny thing is, luckily, imagine if he was on global, he still wouldn't be able to try it until like 5 hours from right now. But it's like, on
true.
JP, luckily, it's only like
7
hours.
That's a weird thing about the time. I remember when you said that to me. I think it was the Cell one when it came out, and you were just like, oh, I can try again in a few hours, and I was like, wait, what? Because for global, the reset is like hours later, which is kind of crazy. So even in a same time celebration.
I think it is something to do with like the way the games were set up like a while ago. I think because it's like global is like closer to their reset that the game like resets the events, but JP it's like for me it's like 9 or 10 a.m. or something like that. So I don't know. It's always been like that though, because I remember that even like way back. So I don't know.
I mean, back then the reset and reset and login time at JP is not the same time. It's kind of the same on global, and both of that is because of the second anniversary.
Okay.
The second anniversary on JP, people could not log in. The servers were down all day. I think it was the same on global, and because of that, they like had to change the login times for the login bonus. Something like that happened. I think I'm pretty sure it was the second anniversary, which first time Super Saiyan 4 is crazy, right? The server's gonna handle it. And because of that, people couldn't log in, and they changed the daily login to 4 hours after reset on JP, which is kind of funny. And then global has like every 15-30 minutes or something, or 10 minutes.
Yeah, because the reset is at the current time, because obviously it changes with daylight savings, but the current time the reset is at like 1 a.m. But I don't get my login bonuses and stuff until like 10 to 2, so it's like 50 minutes afterwards.
Exactly right. But yeah, I mean, I guess talking a little more about the Rose Goku Black Red Zone, or I guess the Rose and Zamasu one, right? They hit for 600k normals, which is very hard hitting. I don't know how exactly hard their super attack hits for, but I would say around like 1.7 mil on like the first super or something like that. And then they raise attack for the turn. I don't know if the attack raise can go up twice if they super twice. Because
I think
Cell Max event doesn't, but this one might.
Yeah, somebody told me on Twitter, I don't know obviously if it's 100% like verified or whatever, but apparently boss super attack raising effects can only go off once per turn, because we were talking about Vegito, because Vegito can double super and raise his attack, but apparently it can only go off once.
Okay, that's
I don't know if that is 100% confirmed, but it sounds about right.
I mean, this guy has a 24.27, I guess, % chance to super, so it's very common he just supers you instantly.
Oh my god.
He has a cooldown of 6 attacks, so if he could super you instantly for like 1.7 mil, and then at the end of return, he could super again for 1.7 mil. And he seals your unit. So if your unit in slot 1 wants to super attack and get extra defense, they're not super attacking, they're not doing damage. So it's a very, very difficult event, and I do like it. I think it's pretty fun too, but this is definitely in a contention for the hardest stage of the game, I feel. But we'll talk about another one. I guess we'll move on to the other new stages that we got, which were from, I think it's the Mortal Will and then Divine Wrath stage, right? I mean, personally, I'll say my opinion. I did the Zamasu and the Blue Goku and Vegeta stage. Zamasu was kind of annoying, but he wasn't like really like tough. The Blues were kind of like easy, and then Vegeta was like very interesting, right? Because it's like,
interesting.
That's a good word for it.
Very difficult, but you can attack lure him. So what I ended up doing is I ran a team of units that have passive debuffs, because passive debuffs do more than just super attack. Like debuffs that you do when you perform a super attack and like a super attack effect, they're not as potent as debuffs in the passive. So if you're running, like I ran STR Omega for my no item run.
That's crazy.
LR Omega, Egil Turles, right? Those units that have the passive debuffs, and that's a cheat code to beat that event. I had my junior in slot 1 with his 30% debuff, right? And that worked pretty well, but what was your experiences? Let's see, Dokkan assets, you sounded like you had some fun. How'd you do in that one?
I'm sorry, I was just so flabbergasted that I heard STR Omega in today's day and age. I should not have listened to that while I was drinking water. No, I was gonna say, unfortunately, I actually haven't gotten a chance to try the stage because I was doing stuff last night. I was editing. And also too, I know, I should be more on top of it, but to be fair, I stream every Friday and I was saving my first reaction to the event for my stream today, so that's why I haven't played it yet. That's my John. However, I will say, I do think, regardless of the event, which I know Ningen has definitely played it, so he'll give you more thoughts on the actual logistics of it. I will say, I do think it is very cool that we finally have a difficult boss that's a super enemy. Yep. Finally, we were just talking about this last week too, I think.
Yeah.
We were talking about how a lot of these villain units would benefit from a super class enemy, so I'm glad that we finally have one.
Physical Zamasu.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know.
Normal.
Yeah, that guy wanted a super class enemy and then gets the hardest hitting STR boss. It's like, poor guy.
It's kind of funny, bro. They did that man so dirty. I don't understand that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's cool. I hope they do more, and it's not just like I don't want to say this is like a niche event, but obviously, like, I feel like Red Zone, especially since they'll add more missions in the future, you'd probably play it over and over. But this is one event where I feel like, it'll drop and then you'll do the missions and you'll probably never touch it again unless you just want to do it for fun. But either way, though, yeah, pretty cool that we have a super enemy. And it's nice we actually get to fight Vegito, because I feel like in a lot of celebrations where there's a big hero character, you don't actually get to fight them.
Yeah.
So, I think that's cool. But yeah.
I agree.
That's me.
All right, Dingen, what do you think about this member?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Obviously I'm not trying to say it's the same. Like, it's not as hard, because I think it took me like 3 times as long to beat it for the first time. But it definitely reminded me of Cell Max, where you play it for the first time and you die like 10 times in a row on like turn 1, and you sit there and think, oh, this is quite hard. And so then you start you start trying out different strategies. I mean, I made a tweet about it earlier. It was like, the thing I really like about content like this, and I wish they would keep doing this for difficult content, is that, yeah, it was really hard at first. Like, in the first couple of runs, like, obviously, being in the moment, getting hyped, like being on stream, doing it, I was just like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Like, all these cool units that we've got that are like the best units in the game are all taking so much damage. But then you start you go back into it and you try out different units, and like once you sort of you realize he can be attack lowered, so then you start bringing, like you said, units that have passive attack lowering, or units that can attack lower on their super, start trying to prioritize trying to prioritize like type advantage units and stuff like that. And you get to try out some different strategies and maybe some units that you haven't maybe thought of before. And you can do that because it doesn't have only like 5 times tries per day. Like, I can almost guarantee that if that Vegito fight was limited to 5 attempts per day, I think like half the people who did beat it probably wouldn't have beaten it. Like, because you can at least throw away. I'm sure most people, maybe you did obviously get lucky. I'm sure there are people that will probably be like, I did it first try. But like, there'll be people, I'm sure, that like you just died slot 1, turn 1, and you're just like, oh. And in an event that you can only do 3 or 5 times a day, like, you don't really learn anything from that experience. So by getting to have multiple attempts and like switching your team up and stuff, it kind of gets you, I just thought it was really enjoyable. Like, it took me a little while. And then I managed to, it was quite funny because I thought I got to a point where I was like, oh, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to beat it. I won't bother doing a no items run. And then I got the perfect run all the way up to the end, but I'd put a support memory on and it went off on the last turn where literally I just used the domain with Zamasu and killed him. So I didn't need it like at all. So then I had to redo it to get the proper no items run. But you'll be happy to know, Theo, that I used 2 heroes units on my team. That's right. I used Zamasu's team, but I was using Mechikabra and Darkness Toa because they're both AGL and lower attack. And for the first time in I don't even know how long, we actually got the turn where I dropped below 30% HP. So I got the full heal from Darkness Toa, and she gives all the extreme units like a massive buff. So that was crazy. That was a crazy turn. But yeah, Mechikabra actually really good, actually able to live a super from Vegito. So yeah, man, Mechikabra being on Zamasu's 200% lead is actually awesome. So
I want to try that.
yeah, I had a lot of fun with that Vegito event. So I think it'd be interesting for like a showcase stage as well for us, for like creators and stuff, just to try out units and stuff. I think that'd be fun.
Like units who attack debuff like have more value now because of that stage. So if there's like a unit that attack debuffs, take them into that stage, especially if they're AGL or guarding or something, and they'll be cooking, right?
One of the reasons why I think it's like Cell Max, like I said, is not to compare it in terms of the difficulty, but like the same thing happened with Cell Max, where everyone found it super hard, but then people started doing things like, oh, bring the androids for the Ghost Usher, bring in Hercule, bring Pycon for the Ghost Usher. So now, just like this, people are like, oh, you know, bring Omega for the attack lowering, which is a unit you would never think to bring on like your first run, right?
I was like, S-tier Omega, 40% attack debuff. We go in, right?
Yep. Yeah, but it's like,
I remember like when Sao Max came out, beat him with double Namek Goku, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah, that was awesome.
I think it's awesome having these units like kind of resurge and get utility again, at least in some fashion. You know, and during the 8th anniversary, I think the live stream or like the fan meetup, that's exactly what Omatsu said. He wants to make events that where there's different type of units that can come back into light and get utility again. And again, perfect example, that STR Omega bro came out in 2016, ain't he?
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's old, and he's like one of the best units for that event. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool because attack lowering has become one of those abilities that's just kind of useless against most of the difficult bosses. And then we get this guy who I think once you start attack lowering him, it does become significantly easier. But I don't know if you guys would agree. I think you would probably say he's the hardest turn 1 boss in the entire game because he can super attack twice. His super attack does like 2 million damage, and after supering, his normal attacks do 1 million damage, and he can super twice. So if you go into the the stage and you only have one tank on the rotation, you better hope he's not super attacking you twice, or it's just GG like on turn 1. But once you start lowering his attack and stacking those attack lowers on it, then it becomes a little bit easier. But turn 1, I think he's like the hardest boss in the game, but. Maybe not so much after turn 1, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help too that he's like, you know, because a lot of those like super difficult events in the game like have a transformation or like, you know, with like Cell Max.
Just, right off the jump.
You know, right there. He's already in his strongest form right out the gate. So
that's why people found Cell so hard when that stage dropped. Yeah, because he is literally just all out full power turn 1. So
right. Exactly.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. So more stuff like that, please.
I'm looking forward to playing it then. Right. This is getting me excited to play it tonight, so
you'll have fun. At least you have some insight now. Okay.
Yes, I have a little bit of knowledge. I'll be bringing STR Omega, don't you worry.
Yeah, STR Goat Mega.
Mechikabra.
That's crazy. I'll bring those heroes units, don't you worry.
That'll be fun. All right, and yeah, so just a reminder here again, if anyone in chat, you guys have questions or comments you want to be read out, any super chats and donations will be read at the end of the stream. So feel free to ask us some questions or leave any comments and we'll read them at the end. But let's move on next to Easy A's. Yes, we did actually get 2 Easy A units here. Let's talk about the good one. Future Gohan. So I'm not sure, Dokkan has have you tried him out at this point? Or
ironically
have you not
enough,
been able to?
I just easy-ate him last night, and I've not been able to try him out. However, I'm definitely excited that this guy got it. I know, I'm slacking right now. Listen, I was working on content at least.
That's fair. What do you think of him based on his details then?
Well, he does seem pretty good. I'm surprised that he honestly, like... I want to say I'm surprised he got as much of a glow up as he did. But I mean, to be fair, I guess this celebration, like, we have been seeing some EZAs that are like, because sometimes obviously, like, when a character gets an EZA, it's like their one chance to be good again, and then sometimes it's like, all right, But it seems like that they actually did, like, cook with this guy's stuff. Obviously, right, giving a bunch of different boosts and whatnot to the different categories that he boosts, right? Like Master and Disciple and stuff like that. I don't know. He seems pretty good to me. I would definitely want a better chance to be able to use him before I gave you away concrete on that. But from what everybody's been saying and from looking at his kit, right? Seems pretty good. Plus, obviously, damage reduction is good on any unit. So obviously, the transformation is good too, it seems. Am I frozen? Oh, am I? Oh, interesting.
Don't get acids. No.
Oh no.
Okay.
Bro, it looks so serious. I see it on the screen. What happened?
Oh no, I've
At
turned up
least
the
you have
wrong
a
one now as well.
serious face and a goofy face.
Is it?
Oh, there you go.
That
He's
was
back.
Interesting.
Look,
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
you're back. Let's go. Okay. Well,
Let me move my camera. I'm not over my shit.
Frozen assets.
So funny.
frozen assets. Bros flabbergasted.
I was so shook by in Future Gohan that I just
Bro
froze.
was like, this is peak, man. All right.
Peak EZA.
Negan, what are your thoughts on Future Gohan? Ever use him just yet?
No, I have absolutely frauded out today. I have to say, I'm very ashamed of myself.
Oh no!
I know, I'm very ashamed. I feel very unprofessional. I'm very
Oh, my
unprepared.
goodness.
So one thing I will say, I know we were talking about on my stream earlier today. I don't necessarily think the general player base will agree, because most of the time we always see those complaints from people that love to speed run through absolutely everything and then complain there's nothing to do afterwards. But I don't know about you guys, but I honestly felt like there was too much to do today. I've really been enjoying in some of these recent celebrations where they've been drip feeding some of the content. There has still been issues where they've gone too long without the next thing coming out, but I genuinely think that because we had the random, I don't know why they did it like that, but the EZA and the burst mode came out 2 hours after everything else. I feel like they could have just pushed that stuff till tomorrow and released it at the same time as the red zone stage and stuff. But tomorrow, because for me today, so we had the 4 new stages come out, 2 burst modes, infinite Dragon Ball history. That's already 7 different things. So I have awakened the free-to-play units and I've done the EZA. So I've EZA'd both the Gohan and the Trunks, but I literally just have not had any time to use any of the 4 new units. So unfortunately, I have pulled up very unprepared today, unfortunately. But going by what it said on paper, I know people were very... I saw some very interesting discussions on Twitter, so I know you have used him, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts about him, Minato. But, I thought when I read his details that he sounded awesome. But then I saw a bunch of people complaining about the Super Saiyan transformation, because obviously he does get the guaranteed damage reduction, but he gets a lot less defense, apparently, raw defense. And I think you tweeted out a comment, I think it was from one of your videos, people saying that just apparently just that damage reduction is worthless because his defense is so low,
Really?
which seems unusual to me, because having guaranteed 58% damage reduction seems like it would be pretty good. So I mean, to me, when I saw his details on paper, I thought that especially transformed into Super Saiyan, I would say he's probably better than the Tech Trunks, not the one we just got, but the one from the other day, the transforming Trunks. At least on the when the turn where he goes Super Saiyan compared to the turn where Tech Trunks goes Super Saiyan, I would assume that Future Gohan is better, but I'm not really too sure. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to test him out properly, but unfortunately I have not had the opportunity to do so yet.
So I guess I'll just talk about him since I used him. He's very good, right?
Tell us, Mino, let us know.
The comment I posted was
Please.
funny because it just people it's not necessarily trying to be mean, but some people don't know how good 50% damage reduction is in terms of it being a mechanic. It's just so potent, and it just really is a powerful thing. His defense does get lower after he does transform, In turn, he does get the guaranteed damage reduction, and he does actually do more damage than what his base form is doing. And it really depends on your setup, right? I ran him under the Inti-Kid Gohan team, right? That full 20% Bond and Master Disciple. I ran him next to LR, Vegeta, and Trunks. I had the Kid Gohans floating for all the family, and then I had Gowasu and Zamasu floating for the support, plus Cold Judgment, right?
Okay.
So I was kind of like not really juicing him up, but I used him in a pretty good spot. A base form feature Gohan is really good. My poster is falling, by the way. It's probably
No.
I didn't have the best. I
hate to
put
see it.
tape the best I could, but it was kind of like 5 minutes before this. But you know, it's fine. If it falls, it is what it is. It's a cool JoJo poster. But moving on from that, it's base form feature Gohan with this 50% support is so good, and I've had a base feature Gohan, right? He took the Inzamasu super attack in the new red zone. He took that for about, I think it was like a less than 100k or so, or like 130k or something like that, right? But very little damage, right? Of course, he super attacked first, but
That's with his damage reduction up, though, right? I assume.
that's with his reduction, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing people don't know about base feature Gohan, his damage reduction can activate in the middle of the turn. So if you get supered in slot 1 and you have it in slot 2, you fall under 70% HP, he gets his damage reduction. Reversely, if you heal, like with the Senzu Bean, you lose the damage reduction. But what you could do in terms of like trying to maybe potentially like risking things, you could put him in like slot 1. He takes like a 300k normal, then he gets his reduction, right? And I've seen a lot of people complain about the fact that he has a high chance to guard with Trunks, but I just don't really think people understand why high chance to guard is bad in a lot of units. High chance to guard is bad when it's the unit's main defense. Goodbye, poster.
No.
Dio.
No.
Deal.
Okay, but high chance to guard sucks when it's the unit's main defensive tool.
That's
But
fair.
imagine guarding with the 58% reduction. That gets really crazy really quickly. And then he's supporting on top of that, right? Once he's transformed, usually he gets to around about, let's say, 450k, 500k defense, right? With 58% reduction, I've had him tank the Goku Black and Zamasu super attack before he even supered. Of course, he's type advantage, but he was able to eat that super attack for about 200k before he actually would attack and gain that 58% defense. On top of that, I had him take the S tier Omega super attack, which hits very hard. He ate that after he supered for about 130 to 150k. That was without the support. That was just only on the family. So he's very strong defensively. I do have full defense like clips on him, to be fair. And in terms of offense, he starts off for me around like 9 points on the full bottom master disciple team. He was doing like 9.7 million starting off, and then he could do up to 4 super attacks in the turn, and he's stacking attack, and he has built-in crit. Overall, I think he's really good. I do like this feature Gohan quite a lot. I think that they made him really well designed. In terms of where I would like kind of place him compared to the other EZA 2 Wars, I would say he's on the same level as like Physical Piccolo and Blue Kaioken Goku. I would say I think the Masu is better, but I think I might have him at 2 because he's kind of just easy to use, right? You just throw him on a team with the Trunks there, and he cooks. He cooks really, really well. So I do like him a lot. I think that people are underestimating what he's doing because of his numbers. His numbers look low, but people don't understand how strong 58% damage reduction is, and that's just my opinion, based on my usage. But he's good. I like him.
Yeah, plus the thing is, if we are going to get, like, if this LR, like, Sword of Hope Trunks comes out next week and is, like, one of the best units in the game, then, you know, you've got a super good Trunks to run him with, so...
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I would
Unlike
think that
this
would
other
be
Trunks
teasing.
that we just got. I mean, at this point, I'll talk about him. I haven't used them myself, actually.
Tech Chunks, the new one.
Yeah,
you mean.
the new.
Yeah, this guy.
Right? That guy that's on the screen.
Look at him.
He sucks. I mean, straight up, he's like okay, like at best, right? I think with his multiplicative stats and how his passive works, he could probably tank normals in some events. But at this point, these events are hitting so hard that I don't even think he could take normals in like some of these newer red zone events, right? And one thing I really, really don't like, and some people are like kind of like like I guess like trying to make sense out of it, and like I understand, but he gets the guaranteed crit against android's enemy or future enemy. But then he has a high chance to crit that he builds up in his passive. I hate when they do that. Like they have a high chance to crit, and then they have a guaranteed crit against a certain enemy. I would rather it just be a completely different mechanic, especially for this unit. Like, what if that was dodge, 25% dodge, and then he gets up to 50% dodge, and then he has the 50% chance to dodge baseline, and then he gets the guaranteed crit, and then extra attacking against certain enemies. I would like that a lot better.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be really good against that Cell red zone, but as of now, he's kind of mediocre. He's not really doing anything that's different, right? There's no like, like this guy's just pretty much just a worse version of the tech sort of Trunks EZA that we have. And it's like maybe if he dodged, he could have been a little more defensive and could have been like a little more helpful in different areas. But I don't know. I don't like him. He's very plain.
Yeah, I think when it comes to what you're saying about having like an ability kind of twice, I think if it's a hidden potential ability, I agree with you, because I've said before in the past, like I think it's cool if a character has something like, I think Kale is the example that I would use, where like she has I think is it high chance to guard, but then she just has guaranteed guard if you have a Universe 6 ally.
Well,
so
yeah,
something like
that's a little
that
different,
I think is
right?
cool. But yeah, I agree. Like if it's a hidden potential ability, because then that completely changes how you would build the unit. So like if you're only ever going to use him against androids, you wouldn't give him any crit in his passive like whatsoever. But then obviously if you want to take him into a non-android thing, he does build up some crit, but not a huge amount. Whereas if it was like a different ability, then that would completely change how you'd want to build him. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think I saw I think it was Toon you were talking about it with, but like I can kind of see it because it's like, yeah, he just builds up crit chance, which is kind of good. And then if you're in a specific event, he just gets guaranteed crit. But then it just makes that previous part of his passive completely pointless, which, like you said, it could have been something else. So I do think it's a very weird design. I do like that for him.
One-dimensional.
I think for him and the future Gohan, they changed certain parts of their passive so that it was androids or future Saga, which is cool.
Yeah.
But then he still gets the his final attack boost is still just against Cell, which I mean we did get that new red zone stage, but it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. I know they do it for like the lore or whatever you want to call it, right? The memes. But like, just having a character that has like, a specific buff, but only against one named enemy, and then that enemy has what? I mean, we probably really don't count the red zone like perfect Cell. He like the event's not super easy, but in terms of like, let's say the top 15 most difficult events in the game, there's like 2 where the enemy is Cell, right? So it's like, it's kind of cool that it's there, I guess, but plus it's also only extra attack.
Bro, we need the legendary.
That's actually one thing I didn't talk about Future Gohan, right? They eased up the restriction for the extra super attack, which I think is really cool. They did the same thing for this Trunks, but like this Trunks is again some of these units, they're just stats. There's all stats, and guess what? All stats are death.
Raw stats,
right? Raw, like unless you're like Ma Junior, you're not raw statting everything, bro.
That's true.
Like a sub EZA is not raw statting everything, so that's the issue. That's why they have
Actually,
to give these units some sort of defensive tool.
that is a good question. Does his ability activate against Cell Max? Because the last part of his passive where it says 100% attack, it says Cell excluding Cell Junior, etc. So I would assume that does exclude Cell Max as well, which that just makes it even worse.
Because it doesn't work against so much. I know
that sucks.
Tech that fraud tech Dokkan Podcast passive against freaking Cell Max.
So imagine that. It's like only works against Cell. Only works against Cell, and you take out one of the 3 difficult Cell events. It's like only works against Cell, but not that one. It's like, oh, okay.
It just
cool.
You know,
what if we just had like guaranteed dodge against Cell?
That would be sick.
That would be cool, right? It's like very niche, but he has a very strong purpose.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Something like that would be cool, but they just don't want to be unique, and they're like, this is that wasn't even changed. No, he gets 30% extra attack. Woo!
Baby!
Yeah! We making out of the future with that one. Yeah,
Oh man.
oh my
You know, I will say,
God.
with Negan saying that earlier, that kind of is an interesting idea about how, like, if you were only going to use this guy for Android bosses, right? Then obviously you would build him one way, but if you're just going to like use him in a more general sense, you build him a different way. I almost wonder if Dokkan should implement something where you could have like multiple different hidden potential builds on like one character. Ironically enough, a game that does this is Pokemon Masters, because Pokemon Masters has like it's a potential system that's like kind of like Dokkan. It's not exactly the same, but it's like basically the equivalent for that game, and you can make like multiple different hidden potential builds. I know it's kind of silly to bring this up for this guy of all characters. Like,
Yeah, it's almost like loadouts or something, right? Isn't it? Like,
yeah,
that'd be
you would
kind of
just
cool.
have multiple
Right?
different ones. Yeah,
That'd be
that
cool.
would be nice.
Because I know people do that when they end up. I've seen people do that when they end up pulling
Yeah.
multiple copies of like character or free to play
God,
characters.
build.
Yeah, where it's like, it's like build
no
a.
one has an excuse with that.
Yeah, it's like if you have free to play characters, and then it's like you can build one full dodge, and then you can build another one with like slightly different for specific events or
Yeah.
something. I've seen people do that, but yeah, if you could have it as like a separate loadout that you could switch between, because even if you had to use like individual skill orbs, so like for like loadout 1 you have to put skill orbs in, and then for loadout
Yeah.
2 you still have to put other skill orbs in. I feel like that would be like a kind of a fair trade, and then you could just switch between them, like obviously not in battle, but before you go into the event.
Right.
I think that would
Yeah.
be pretty cool, but
That would be cool. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool. But yeah,
Yeah, or
it's not a
like
thing,
Jess
but-
said, just pull Cooler 10 times, and then you could do 2 different builds of them. There
yeah,
you go.
exactly, full
Yeah,
full crit and
there
then a
you
full
go.
dodge. Let's go.
All right, and you can get 3 more copies of the Blue Goku.
I already have a spare rainbow copy of LR Cooler. I got super lucky during last year's worldwide and rainbowed him, and then pulled like 5 copies during the anniversary. So I actually do have a spare rainbow copy of Cooler.
Look at this whale, dude.
I know,
Look at
right?
this
Look at this-
whale.
I'll get. I know, right? I
Oh
might rainbow
my
him and give him full dodge. Why not?
Let's go.
Do it for sure. Are streamers interacting with chat? Maybe we are, huh? If you're listening on Spotify or later, you won't understand, but maybe we are. I'm answering chat anyways. We have some free-to-play units. Let's talk about the fun one. The new int base form Trunks. He has a domain ability, which is really interesting. I think that new base form in Trunks. I do like that.
The touch
And
grass.
it's really funny. Yeah, the touch grass.
Grass domain.
Touch grass domain. It's really funny, but I think it looks cool. His OST is also really sick, and he's apparently the first free-to-play like TUR unit that stays as a TUR that has a voice active skill. Because it's a domain, which is really
Yeah.
sick, right? So I saw a tweet about that, and it was like, yeah, the only other one is the TUR version Z Goku, but he's like an LR still, kind of, because he Dokkan Awakens into one, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of different.
Yeah.
But this unit having a domain like that, his OST is sick, and
Yeah.
I think he looks pretty good overall. It's just like in terms of baseline, his domain ability is interesting because it actually buffs the enemy. So I know Ningen. Actually, I haven't even been able to farm this guy up. But what are you thinking about this like domain ability in the unit? I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, because it's essentially just like the super class version of the Zamasu one, right? Because Zamasu buffs. Does
Kind
Zamasu
of.
buff the enemies as well, or is it? I know it's
No,
debuffs
so-
the super enemies and allies. Yeah, so it's slightly different
Yeah.
effect, but they both have the effect for enemies and allies. So obviously for him, it's a much easier one because, you know, as we know, because we've been crying out for difficult content with super bosses, most of the difficult content you are fighting extreme enemies. So the fact that it's going to give super class allies a buff isn't really a huge deal. I mean, it'd be kind of funny. Imagine using his domain against the STR for Geo, and then he super attacks you and gets an extra 30%. Oh, it's only 10. Gets an extra 10% attack.
Somebody's got to check that out.
And one thing to keep in mind, that support is actually, so it works the entire time the domain is up, which lasts for 4 turns. So that's 4 turns of 10% attack and defense support. If that like gets like key and like it's like 15%, that'd be a very potent ability post EZA, which I think probably will use it, but
I feel like they're both going to EZA, right? The two free-to-play ones, because they have that blueprint. Like they have the 50, he has a 50% leader skill, and obviously we know post EZA, like the free-to-play leaders get 77%, which is obviously a little bit better. Still not as good as a summonable leader, but yeah, I feel like they're going to get EZAs, especially because they follow that kind of route last year as well, I think, where the units awakened in part 2. And then I think it was still in part 2. It was just a little bit later. They then got the Extreme Z area as well. So yeah, I feel like both of them are going to EZA. And then, yeah, he definitely has an interesting skeleton, like his kit. And then, of course, you know, because these are the first domain units we've ever seen, so we don't really know. But then I'm assuming when he gets his EZA, there's the possibility that his domain thing increases as well, right? Like it could go up to 15 or 20%. Like, obviously, we've never seen a unit with a domain get an EZA, so we don't actually know.
I really want key, right? Because imagine, like off rotation key support, that'd be sick.
Could you imagine if his domain gave key, but then the way it works against superclass enemies is it means they always super you?
I guess that would be kind of weird, right?
That would be funny.
There's like, super slot one instantly, 10% chance to do a super. That'd be pretty funny.
Interesting.
That would be interesting for sure. But again, get a key would be nice or something like that. He has an interesting skeleton because he has a lot of multiplicative buffs, 20% build up to 80%, and then 40% on super attack if there's a future saga ally, right? So like with his EZA, I mean, already he's cracking around like 400-ish K defense. So if he EZAs with the stat increases, maybe if they give him some sort of defensive ability would be pretty interesting at least. But even if they don't, as long as his defense is like, I don't know, 800K might be a lot to ask for a free unit, but that's kind of like the defense that we need for a lot of these bosses right now.
Yeah.
Like, at least like 600-ish K. And then, you know, if they really want to, they can give him like some sort of defensive ability somehow. That would be pretty awesome. I mean, so many free-to-play units get guard and stuff now. I feel like the STR Yamcha, the attack master. I think it's his name is Jackie Chun, actually. But yeah, that unit, right? So like,
I've never met Master Roshi before. What do you mean?
Yeah. What if they give him guard if there's a future saga ally on rotation as well?
Yeah, that'd be
like
good.
Guarding like as a floater, I think that'd be really interesting as a support unit too.
Yeah, because
cross make this guy good.
I feel like his role is to be like a floating support unit, right? And then obviously pop the domain for extra support. So I don't know about you guys. I went for like full dodge and then just the rest in additional. I literally gave him 0 crit. So be interesting to see what.
I didn't put the hidden potential on him yet, but dodge.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, because floating support. Obviously, the domain thing you can use. Like if there's a future enemy, which is kind of cool, because for like the new, if his EZA does make him defensively viable enough for some of these red zone stages that we're getting, even if maybe not the final one, but at least for some of them, right? It would be kind of cool because then you can just pop that on turn 1, and then you're doing extra damage to the enemies. Like, it seems like it'd be pretty good. So I'm hoping he gets a solid EZA. Hopefully they get the guy that worked on the free-to-play units from Golden Week. Except you, General Tao.
Rest in peace, the boy.
Yeah, R.I.P. Tao. But everyone else was good.
Oh yeah, this guy too. Like, oh here, can I mention one more thing about him actually?
Yeah.
No,
it's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course you can.
I was gonna say, well, for one, like you mentioned, the EZA is cool. I love that it's a reference. I know someone in the chat mentioned it too, to Super Butoden 2, a really old Dragon Ball Z game. They kind of like remixed that theme from that game and put it into him. So it would be cool if they do that in the future with more OSTs, or they take like other Dragon Ball game OSTs and kind of remix them. But the thing that I really want to mention with this guy about the domain that I think is really cool. First of all, his animations look really good. Ironically enough, after this stream is over, I'm uploading an animation analysis video on him. Ironic enough that we're talking about him today. They're really good. But the thing that I wanted to bring up that I think is really interesting about this guy too, is that I feel like what his domain is kind of opens up a lot more possibilities for what the domain could be in the future in terms of like characters that we can see, because I know a lot of people were thinking like, okay, with this domain mechanic, it's going to be like you know, the Zamasu, like the Sky Zamasu, or like hits time skip, or like inside Super Boo or something like that, where it's like
Ooh,
the
that would be
first
cool.
kind
I
of
never thought
things,
about that.
right?
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
would be cool. Like the first kind of couple things that would come to your mind would be more like, I don't know, like where the area around them like actually changes or something like that. Um, but I think that now that like this guy came out and quite literally, you know, he basically just punches the enemy into like a different area, you know what I mean? It gives a lot more like opportunity, I feel like, to have more, I don't know, I guess just like general sort of domains where it doesn't have to necessarily be like such a restricted like idea to be a domain, you know what I mean? It can just be like, um you know, there could be something when like the androids, when Dr. Giro and Android 19 were attacking the city, and then, you know, like they move the fight to another area, and then like, you know, you have the moment with Vegeta going Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah.
Like even something like as simple as that could then end up being a domain mechanic. So I don't know. I just think, yeah, when Dr. Giro runs into the mountains, right? Like that could be something right there. Um, Something like that, right? I definitely think that there could be you know, something a lot more simple like that that they could use to make a different domain or something like that. I'm trying to think of another example off the top of my head, but I can't really think of anything. I mean, oh, I did tweet the other day too, or yesterday. You know, like when Goku and Vegeta, when they first fight in the Saiyan saga, you know, they move to the wasteland, the iconic you know, let's fight somewhere empty meme. Um, right? Yeah. Yeah, easily
I
they could.
agree.
So I don't know.
Mhm.
I just think that like from that perspective, it's cool that it's like a lot more of a like open concept for something that's not as like limited of a thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
plan to eradicate the Saiyans
Um,
domain would be pretty sick.
Nigga, they say they can't hear the stream, by the way.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm
apparently
good.
you're muted.
I'm good now.
You're good now.
You
Okay,
are?
yeah.
Okay,
I'm not-
okay.
I don't know what. Something happened with Discord. My camera cut off.
Apparently
then
I was
my-
being staticky. I don't know what happened.
Something happened in Discord, yo. I don't know. Blame Discord. That's not us. You
being
know, we
being
good.
sabotaged. No, I was just saying. I think it was while I was muted. I was just saying the fact that that obviously happens multiple times in the show, where it's like, let's
Yeah,
go fight somewhere else. So
Yep,
it's kind of. I mean, I guess we wouldn't want to see that done again multiple times, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
that's what this Trunks is just doing essentially. So it means the domain isn't going to be restricted to only like crazy abilities that completely change like the surroundings and stuff. I think another one that I've seen people mention that I was trying to, because you mentioned a lot of the ones that I've heard, which I think would be cool, especially the inside Super Boo one. There's the Janemba, like the jelly beans, like the
I would
hellscape
love
thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
And the other one that's sick as
so
well, because
cool.
we need to revisit those units still. We still haven't done that. But when we eventually get standalone Blue Gogeta and full power Broly, we could get the pocket dimension thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
so,
when it changes to the lava, like the lava.
Oh, that's
sea.
true. That's true. That's
yeah, that as well. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
could be
because
cool.
Broly could have that and Gogeta could have the like pocket dimension thing. That'd be
Does
sick.
It, well,
Yeah.
yeah, or
That'd be
either
cool.
or, right? Doesn't
Either or,
Broly,
yeah.
Like, do the dimension thing.
I'm not really sure, but either way, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
way,
super
right?
good.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I would definitely be down for that. That would be really cool. I mean, I'm sure that there's a bunch of different ones that you could like.
Oh, somebody,
pick
Annie
out
in
too.
chat. Goku and Vegeta teleporting to the Kai planet, the Kai realm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Someone mentioned Ningen, the prison planet from the prison planet arc. That would be sick. Where
Yes.
you could teleport you there or something
Oh,
like
you know,
that.
Yes.
Frieza with the broken Namek, or like Final Form Frieza, I guess, where it, like
Yeah.
blows up the planet and stuff broken Namek. There's like so many things.
Yep.
If we talk about this, we're just gonna be honest.
That's
True.
true. That's true.
Let's at least move on to the other free-to-play unit, which is the STR Super Saiyan Trunks Future, which is the Space Trunks, right? So apparently, something I didn't know about this guy that was mentioned in chat. He does have support for 7 turns. He gives all allies defense 20% for 7 turns. I thought that was initial reading it. I thought it was only when he's on rotation, but apparently it applies to even when he's off rotation. So it's off rotation support 20% to all allies,
Interesting.
which I think is very good.
That is really good. Yeah.
So with considering what he could do with the EZA, again, like I said, if he's giving key attack and defense like off rotation for 7 turns, that's just the whole fight, right? So you're getting that support buff, which could be really, really strong. But this guy right now really sucks. Like really, really sucks. Like I've seen calculations where he doesn't even hit 150k defense.
Oof.
Like he's really,
Oh.
really bad.
Not bad.
Damn,
Yep.
dude.
Because he just sucks. His stats are so low.
Yikes.
So he needs like
That's a big
huge
yikes.
glow up with an EZA. And you know we've seen EZAs like where the TUR normally just actually outright sucks. Then the EZA itself like cooks and put everything together. But
That's true.
this guy definitely has potential. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, that's actually shocking, especially after because I still can't get the number out of my head. Like I made a meme tweet about it earlier, the fact that this after doing super attacks, that STR Vegio, his normal attacks do 1,000,000 damage, and then you got this Trunks rocking up with 150k defense. Like it's like, oh my god, that is actually terrible. So what would be kind of interesting, because it kind of comes back to what we were talking about a little bit with the in future Gohan, is if his stats aren't necessarily particularly high, what if like for his EZA they give him damage reduction? Yeah, because then if he's got
Golden Frieza,
if he's got damage reduction and then he's giving off rotation defense support, that suddenly makes him
that would
like
be
quite a valuable unit. But as it stands at the moment, like we said earlier as well, Minato mentioned it, but like even if they do up his stats somewhat decent amount, like raw defense just doesn't really cut it in events now. So it's nice to have that defensive support when he's not on the rotation, but if he just explodes when he gets touched, then it's like, where are you ever going to run him? Which is unfortunate. But like you said, we have seen huge glow ups from the free to play TUR to EZA before, which is dumb. It's like that whole discussion we've had before and could have many times again. It's like, why do they bother giving them a trash TUR and then an EZA straight away when they could just make their TUR good and then EZA them later?
Exactly,
but when it's free to play units, I don't mind it as much, because rather than giving him an EZA later, they just make a new unit later. But it just does seem weird to make a TUR that sucks and then the EZA is good. It's like it seems like such a weird way to do it. But
it defeats the purpose of the EZA, because the whole point is that it's supposed to, like, when a unit eventually like kind of falls off down the line, then they get it to be good again. But they're just good out there, or bad out the gate rather. So I don't know.
If they really want to cook with this guy, what they gotta do, make him like Golden Frieza, give him a damage reduction that like slowly builds down, but then give him stacking defense. So even though his damage reduction gets lost and becomes less as strong defensively potentially than the beginning of the fight, he stacks defense and he gets enough to like tank these normals with the damage reduction, and then he has a support, and he's like just good for the short kind of event content, which I think would be really nice for a free-to-play unit to be good in this short type of content. I mean, he doesn't have to be invincible slot 1, but enough where you could float him off and he could be safe, right? I think I would really like that. And yeah, someone in chat said they won't give a free-to-play unit damage reduction. We just got the Tech Bulma, right? The EZA for the Tech Bulma. She has damage reduction. There's so many free-to-play units that do
physical. I just put in the chat, physical Golden Frieza from the Dragon Ball Super Broly story event, which is like years old at this point, is a free-to-play unit that doesn't even have an EZA and has damage reduction. So, whilst I don't think it's necessarily super likely, but that's what they should do.
So low, I feel like it's gonna get like guard or damage reduction and stacking, because his stats are just actually abysmally low.
Yeah,
like there's no way that they're not going to give him some sort of defensive mechanic, right? But like,
I would hope so.
Golden Frieza and Sorbet do have a damage reduction.
Golden Frieza and Sorbet.
Oh, I forgot that unit existed, dude. Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's no surprise.
All the units, bro. Chat. Okay.
So funny.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right now, this Trunks is bad, but he becomes really, really good soon. We'll just have to have our fingers crossed about that. Free-to-play units recently have been solid, so let's hope this guy's good, because it's obviously the worldwide download celebration. Now for another segment here, a pretty fun segment in my opinion. We actually do have trash takes. Woo!
Let's go.
All right, so we have a trash take segment where people give their controversial takes that they feel like, people should potentially like appreciate more, look forward to more. And we have asked on Twitter on the actual spy
It's right there.
I didn't have it ready to go. I knew I forgot something.
Yeah, we asked you guys on Twitter. We're like, okay, on the official Slump One Super Podcast Twitter, which if you haven't followed
I'll
it,
grab
feel
a
free to
link
go
to
ahead and
that.
follow it. Yeah, put
Definitely
the
go
link in
follow
chat,
that.
Dokkan
I
Assets,
got
right?
you.
But we asked you guys. We're like, okay, what are your hot takes for this week? And we got this one from Gino right here. So I've seen a lot of people really like this unit actually. So it's about EGL PyCon. And the take here obviously is on screen. PyCon is the best aging unit in 2020 and in general. Now I did get further details on why they do think this, of course, but just as an initial one sentence reaction, what are you guys thinking about this take? Just looking at it instantly, what's your initial thoughts?
The best aging. Let me look up the 2020.
Yeah, see,
units real
I was
quick.
gonna say
That
one of the
doesn't
things.
sound right.
One of the things when I see takes like this is I always immediately think is like I'm not one of those people that has an encyclopedic knowledge of like the release dates of units. So as soon as I
Yeah.
see something that is like year specific, I'm like, who else came out that
that's
year? Because
Tech Gohan, STRUI Goku. I think,
Tech
right?
Gohan.
Wait. Like, as in, like Tech Ultimate Gohan, like the goat of goats?
Yeah,
Tech
yeah. I think
Right, come on, Theo, go
right.
off. Tell us what you think.
STRUI Goku, right? There is. I'm trying to think of other units that came out that year, but obviously we're not going to count like EZAs, right? Because EZAs specifically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count that either. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in the units that in that year specifically who came out, didn't no in Hercule did not come out that year. He came out like 2018 or 2019 or something. But those kind of units,
Like,
right?
It's
So I mean, what are y'all thinking again?
I mean, the fact that we are now aware of the fact that Tech Gohan came out that year, I think is.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is,
That's fair.
it's interesting because, like,
Oh.
I know he can be usable in there, but like, I know people got high on PyCon again after the release of Cell Max because we did mention that earlier. That like people were using him for his Ghost Usher and stuff, but like, I mean, he is a dodge or die character. But he has that support. He has the Ghost Usher, which if you play it right, he can be pretty useful. But you obviously can always get that like turn where he just doesn't dodge anything and then you die. And then Tech Gohan on the opposite side, like obviously now compared to current units, it takes him a while to get built up. He definitely can get hit really hard right at the beginning. But obviously as he builds up, he definitely becomes better, but he doesn't have that utility. So I don't know. Like, I mean, if you take Tech, I mean, the problem is it's very anecdotal, right? Because someone could go into an event, get the best RNG ever, dodge every single attack with PyCon, and then he looks like an absolute god. Whereas if you go into, like, say, a Vegito to bring him up again, go into Vegito, put Gohan, Tech Gohan in slot 1 on turn 1, and he gets supered, then I don't know how much he takes exactly because I'm not going to calc it like right now, but he probably takes a ridiculous amount of damage. The problem is, so would PyCon if he doesn't dodge. So I can see like that he still has value, but I don't know. Best aging 2020 unit. That is, it's a bold claim. Let's put it that way.
I did actually. Well, so I was looking through, right, the 2020 units just to like kind of refresh my memory. And I agree with you, Ningen, 100%. Like I can definitely see the utility, like that, he has usage. Obviously, like Tech Gohan, of course, literally the meme of like Tech Ultimate Gohan is better. But I mean, I would say he definitely is in this case. However, another unit that came out in 2020 that I saw on this list that I think. I don't know. Maybe there's an argument to be made either way, but Tech Caulifla, the one that dodges everything, that unit also came out in 2020, and I don't know. I don't think she's ever fallen off.
I mean, it's situational though, isn't it? I guess because it's like, if we keep getting difficult bosses that are Pure Saiyans, or if we get like the next anniversary, for example, is like Universe Survival Saga again, then yeah, she's
Yeah.
gonna like imagine if the next anniversary was Universe Survival Saga and we get like a Universe Survival Saga Red Zone, then she's just gonna be back, baby. She's gonna be in every
We
single
got-
stage, like every
We just got
team.
Esther Vegito, right? So,
Yep, STR Vegito, yeah, exactly, who technically counts as a pure Saiyan because he is the part of the Goku and Vegeta card. I saw some people that were confused about that earlier, but yeah, even though he starts off as Vegito Blue, because he technically is the transformation of that card, the game considers him to still be a pure Saiyan. So yeah, you can use Caulifla. You can use Tech God Goku, but he takes a ton of damage as well, which is kind of crazy. Yeah,
Alright.
so...
Let's go ahead and we've already continued. Let's go ahead and hear a Gino.
Yeah, you said you've got a
point.
further explanation, right? So let's see.
We have an explanation. I was like, guys, we gotta chill. I said one sentence, and you guys are like, let's just go right into it. Okay. Let's
Hey,
let's
you
hear 'em
asked.
out. We gotta hear him out, man. Okay. So here's the message I got. I think PyCon has almost every utility you could ask for: support, dodge, attack, lowering, sealing, and a ghost usher. For a unit that came out in 2020 is insane. This was brought up by Ningen actually, but you could see it during the OG Cell Max era where everyone was running PyCon and the androids to completely cheese the events. He has runner-ups, which are the TUR Golden Frieza and the Tech androids, right? Just in general, like aging. And this is another point someone brought up with Tech Gohan. Personally, I'm not running Tech Gohan on teams anymore because he's asking to be on main rotation, would needed to stack defense, and there's just way better options. Nothing against him, but PyCon's always going to be a floater that can match up with the utility of units today. Droids are also cool with the Ghost Usher, but the lack of dodge means that the Ghost Usher is really their only defensive mechanic. Age of Golden Frieza is close as well, but I prefer everything in PyCon that he has in his kit that makes him a better cheese option for events again because he has the 50% damage. The Ghost Usher is always going to be something that will always be good. You know, like we said, if they're introducing more events like Vegito, that could be Attack Lord, right? I think this guy greatly lowers attack, if I'm not mistaken. So he could be a good option even in that Vegito stage 2. Maybe if there's a boss that we could seal, and it'd be like really good to seal the boss, right? He has a lot of different options. So I kind of see like him as one of the most better aging units. And maybe in like even a year or two from now, you could say, yeah, he's probably the best like aging 2020 unit, given maybe he has an EZA or not. As if like these bosses are hitting so hard turn 1, and you like Tech Gohan, maybe he just can't handle the pressure like that. Whilst PyCon will always have the 50% chance to dodge, whilst Tech Gohan always would die instantly, right? Even in like turn 1, if you can't stack up. That's kind of the the things about that in terms of his point, but I added on a little extra at the end, my personal opinion, but his end sentence was that he's a better cheese option for events, but that's his take. And I think it's not like unreasonable if you're like a huge PyCon fan, but I personally would probably disagree. I do personally like Tech Gohan better as a unit overall. But
I think it's one of those things. I guess it depends how you consider best aging. I mean, I think that's what the fun thing about having these takes and like discussing them, because it's not really ever black and white, right? Because like I say, there are definitely some events where you probably like again, we'll just go back to him as the example, right? Like with STR Vegito, after you lose a couple of times against STR Vegito, I can't imagine there are many people that are like, aha, I know, I'll bring Tech Gohan and now I'll win. Whereas if you bring PyCon, he could dodge and he's attack lowering and he's supporting everyone and he has a Ghost Usher. So like in that situation, I feel like PyCon could actually help somebody beat Vegito, whereas I don't know if Tech Gohan is helping anyone beat Vegito. I mean, obviously it depends. Like if he doesn't get supered and you get a couple of turns where he gets additionals and your other units are attack lowering him, then I'm not saying like he's unrunnable in that event. But I mean, yeah, in terms of, I mean, I think we can agree, even if he's not the best aging, I think for the strategies you can use him for, he definitely has aged very well, I would say. But again, in the hardest content, he does kind of come down to being a dodge or die character, which, I mean, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And that's, you know, that's the risk you take, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
that's
pretty much
true.
that.
Yeah, definitely not unreasonable.
I think overall I like him in terms of what he's like designed to do. He still performs that role very well.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, but that is pretty much it for the trash take discussion here. And now I believe I did see one super chat come up, Ningen. I think
Yep, I've got them
you
here.
have it. Perfect. Okay,
Unless I
so I
did.
guess we'll have Ningen read any super chats or comments or questions that we got. And this, what do we got? I guess that's I can't see it.
I did have it. It's not showing on my Streamlabs thing now. So
Let me see.
yeah, it was from our boy Rowdo-kun in the chat. Shout out to you for the $2 super chat. He says, "Do you think part 3 will have easy A's?" So I'll let you guys go first since I read it out. So do you think part 3 will have easy A's? And then obviously I would add on to that. And who would you want them to be?
In Goku Black that transforms.
Yeah. Why
I think
did
that's
he
a very
get it
easy
now?
one.
I don't know.
Well,
He might get it
remember, STR Cooler, the TUR, was probably the hypest EZA from last year, and he didn't get his EZA until part 3.
Okay.
So I
didn't
feel
even
like,
remember that, honestly.
yeah, I feel like they're saving up Goku Black's transforming one to be. He's going to be that guy, right? He's going to be the STR Cooler of this celebration. I think, at least I hope. But also, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be really sick. Maybe even in LR Rose. There's some people speculating Esther, Vegito, and physical boot tanks. I'm thinking at this point probably not anymore, based on how the EZAs ended up, like, kind of not
Shaking
necessarily
out.
turning out to be, but how they're like releasing them in like batches, kind of like this. I don't know. So we'll see. I would probably assume that they're just gonna save those units for like Buu Saga, though.
Yeah, I think they've made
Like
it.
Goku Blacks for sure.
Well, actually, I was going to say they've made it clear, but then they kind of also did Go Bros during Turles' celebration. But I feel like they've made it somewhat clear recently that they're kind of sticking to, at least for big celebrations, I guess, they're kind of sticking to units that fit the theme more so than just like who's next in line to get an EZA. So as much as I would love to see STR Vegio and Physical Butex getting their EZA, I feel like they don't really fit into this, because their only relevance is that they were worldwide units, right? And I guess you could make the connection of like it's another Vegio, but actually, aren't all the Boo units on Worldwide Chaos as well? So actually, the more that I think about it, there's very slight, like tenuous links,
Yeah.
and
but like
the 5th anniversary units EZ8, and they're not on Power Wishes, right? So
true.
Really?
yeah.
I thought one of them was.
Yeah, I thought
No,
one of them was
neither-
too.
not-
Power.
Is Gogeta blue on it? I don't think any
I
of them
thought he
are.
was,
Let me
isn't he?
look,
Let's
let
have a
me
look.
look.
We're gonna fact checking Minato live. Let's do it.
Minato is right. Neither of them are on there. Really?
Damn.
I swear I agreed with you, Ningen.
Wow.
Gogeta was there, but
I know my Dokkan battle.
There you go. Well, I'm sorry, but yeah. So
apologize.
there you go. Yeah,
Frauds! That's what I say. Frauds.
we've been exposed live.
No, it can't be.
There you go. Well, also, so I think, part 3 EZAs, I feel like they will be in Transforming Goku Black, maybe LR Rose as well. I think those definitely could be on the cards. So next up, shout out to Daniel Rodriguez for the $2 super chat. He says, "Give Tech Janemba's EZA rainbow orb changing." Ooh.
That'd be good.
See, that unit, I think you guys know, anyone who has who's watched my channel for a while, or at least around the time that he came out, I definitely have a love-hate relationship with that Tech Janemba. I thought he was trash when he came out. I used to get so mad because Extreme Tech, back when I was still trying to finish all of the Super Battle Road stages with no items, Extreme Tech is the last one that I needed to do, basically. And the number of times like I was not able to get his orbs. And the thing that really frustrates me about Dokkan, I made a big tweet about it. This is ages ago now, so I don't know if I'd ever be able to find it again. But the problem with his mechanic is he's almost designed in a way that isn't compatible with the way the game works. Because the game is designed that when you go to pick up orbs, it will always want to get the most key. So if you have a string of orbs that gives you 4 type orbs and 2 rainbow orbs that completely activates his entire passive, but then right next to it is like 3 tech orbs, it will pick those up instead because it gives him more key, even though it's completely counterproductive to how his passive works, which is incredibly annoying. So if you gave him rainbow orb changing, I feel like that would fix a massive issue with that unit, because even if he's not getting the support, at least him getting the damage reduction makes it less likely that he's going to die to big bosses. So
I don't know why he needed more orbs and like he just needed more orbs than Age of Pycon for no reason.
I think it's because he transforms, and then when he transforms he needs the same orbs as Pycon, but they made his transformation terrible and you never use it. So
yeah, it's just really just dumb. I don't really understand. I don't know. They should have just been the same conditions. I don't care if it was like lower when it transformed.
Yeah, just do it.
The same. Like
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So they should make it the same conditions as Pycon when he transforms, or at least when he EZAs. I mean, not transforms. And then once he gives him orb changing and he cooks. So
yeah.
fingers crossed or something like that, and I would really like that.
Yeah, 100%.
And
And then we got one more here as well. Shout out to Raudo for the $5 super chat. Says, are there any ideas for the next celebration, ideas for JP, or any global/JP sync theories? So we did talk about that a little bit last week. In terms of like what's coming up next for JP, I think that is quite interesting because that factors into the whole like sync plan, because obviously as we mentioned last week, even if global does start to try and catch up, as JP keeps releasing new things, then obviously global keeps being behind. So what do you guys think? Obviously you two are the JP boys, so what would you be expecting? Because obviously for global, unless they do start speeding things up straight away, we do kind of know what we're going to see. But what do you think will be next for JP after the worldwide celebration?
I'm personally gonna say, like, God Topo, STRG EZA finally, or a Tapion, one of those two. Because at this point, if they EZA in Goku Black, it's like we have. I want to pull up Misaka's Twitter so bad, but let me actually. In fact, I'm gonna bring it up right now. The EZAs like that are left still.
Super Saiyan 3 Goku, please.
Yes, please. LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
2017 units. And then we have Jiren, which will be a 2018 unit. Then the next unit that wouldn't have EZA, if we consider it in Goku Black and get an EZA, will be Tech Broly in 2019. Which he's with a bunch of other 2019 units. So like those two, it's like there has to be a celebration for them. Maybe it's like a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks Dokkan Fest, another Bardock Super Saiyan 3 Dokkan Fest even. Like, yes. I think something relating to those two EZAs that we haven't just seen anything. Even like Universe Survival Saga, we haven't seen in a bit. You know, I guess we've seen some movie stuff, but like, when's the last like Super Saiyan 3 Dokkan Fest, right? Like a Super Saiyan 3 200% leader would be quite good.
Yeah.
So,
I would cry.
Dude, well, I mean, we did finally get one with the part of the leader skill of the new Goku and Vegeta. But yeah, having a new leader that has power beyond Super Saiyan, and then obviously you could have Super Saiyan 3 as like one of the plus 30% or something. So you get other power beyond Super Saiyan units on that team, because like units like the gods, a lot of them have over in a flash. And then the Super Saiyan 3s would all be getting the 200%. I love Super Saiyan 3. We need more Super Saiyan 3 units. When was the last one? When was the last one that actually came out? Is it the physical Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3 Goku?
Something like that.
So might be
like Super Saiyan 3 as a leader, and then Power Beyond Super Saiyan the 200%, or even it can't really be reversed because we just got a Power Beyond Super Saiyan lead. But
yeah,
I mean, like, maybe they do lead Power Beyond Super Saiyan again. Just who cares? They release like 16 billion movie heroes units, and then Super Saiyan 3 gets to 200%, right?
Yep.
I think that'd be fine, right? And then you could bring like, you know, even the blue fusions, like these over in a flash gods and stuff like that, and they'll link with the Super Saiyan 3s. Which would be pretty good, but yeah, like a new Super Saiyan 3 unit would be interesting. Yeah. And EZA that Dragon Fist Goku, and then I think we'll be cooking from there again, or like God Topo. Like, give us a God Topo Dokkan Fest. STR Jiren gets an EZA. And then, you know, maybe a new Dispo Banyan or something. And then make Universe 11 interesting. But yeah, I really think one of those two will likely get an EZA with the next celebration. And then main Dokkan Fest or whatever unit comes out will be related. But who knows? Maybe they don't even push out a Dokkan Fest. And it's just like some weird banner. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was hearing people say.
Yeah, because we
Right?
talked
Like,
about last year, last week, the idea of them doing like, on global, pushing like two Dokkan Fests together into one
right.
banner. And then JP, as much as it sucks for JP
They'd
players,
have to slow
although
down,
on the other hand, it's good because you get to save your stones, I guess. But they could do one of those, they could do one of those annoying, like, just like rerun LR banners or something that like most people should
Yeah.
just absolutely not touch, which then it kind of sucks because there's no new thing to summon for. But they could easily just add in like more content to make up for it, right? Like as we said before,
mean-
like throwing in more missions for like red zones and the legendary events and stuff like that. Like that kind of makes up for there not really being a banner that you want to summon on. And then global doesn't even need to get that catch up banner. But
Yeah.
Usually in October there is like a part
Yeah.
2 like LR banner.
Filler banner, yeah.
No, it's like last year we got the gammas.
Do you mean
but,
for JP?
For
You mean
JP,
for
yeah.
JP? Gotcha. Sorry, I thought you
in
meant
Oc-
global. My
Yeah,
bad.
no, in October, like for example, one year we had, I think it was Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and then no, the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was in November, right? Who was? I think it was Golden Frieza and Deuteralis or something like that, right? Where we had a Dokkan Fest. We usually have a Part 2 LR, not necessarily related to the Dokkan Fest, but we have a LR that comes out in October. So what they could do is they could just not release the LR and just not release a banner, just give us some events or something like that.
Yep.
And I think that would make a lot of sense with that. So maybe that's what they're gonna do. Well, I'll just have to see. My nose is like itchy, by the way. This is crazy. But I don't even know.
But yeah.
I keep itching my nose, and then someone in the chat was like, "This guy's picking his nose." I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
my nose is
I keep-
itchy."
Yeah, I keep itching it too, yeah.
that classic excuse. No, it's just itching
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Outside of my nose. Okay, well, that's
That's
my
funny.
opinion.
But yeah, we'll have to see. It's interesting times ahead
be
because it's one of those things. It's interesting and maybe a little bit scary because it's like for global, we do at this point until well, I guess when they start putting the plan into motion, we might know a little bit more. But obviously for now, like we have absolutely no idea because it's like someone was asking about. Someone asked me today. It's like, oh, when is Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku coming out on global? And it's like, well, it should be the end of November, but we don't know if they're going to start doing some shenanigans towards the end of the year to start getting us caught up. So we actually don't know 100%. Apart from stuff that's kind of always set in stone at specific times, like Heroes, because it's on both versions. Like, we don't really know for 100% certainty anything that's going to happen between now and the end of the year. So it's interesting, but also cautious times on global at the moment. So
Heroes is our rock to fall back on again. We're winning, baby.
that's right, the Heroes agenda, baby.
Yes, sir.
We really just will not know until just the Dokkan Fest after whatever happens after Worldwide in October, or it'd be in it would be in October, right? So we'll just have to wait and see. We can't really guess, unfortunately, when some of these news will come. I mean,
Yeah.
I think personally the anniversary will be synced regardless if Global's fully caught up, right?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Just because it just means that it's like I don't know, it's gonna be. I don't know why they would announce it now then not sync anniversary. I think that'd just be really stupid. Because then anniversary and Tanabata would be at the same time next year. Then it's like, oh, another unit, and it's basically gonna be like the same thing as Super Saiyan 4 Goku this year. So it's like, it's just a whole other thing. And we'll just have to wait and see. There's gonna be a lot of uncertainty moving forward in terms of like what's gonna happen in global. But yeah,
Yeah. I will say though, the only thing I'm a little worried about with the version sync is that like I know, and I agree with you that like the whole thing about I would think that if they were announcing it now, the whole reason why they would be announcing it now would be because it would happen soon. But the only thing that makes me a little worried is how they handled version Z, because like with version Z, they announced that way early on, and then it took them a while to get it fully complete. Like, to be fair, there was like a little bit of stuff right out the gate, but it took them like a fat minute to finally be like, all right, we're finally done. Like, wasn't it like it was like a whole year or something, wasn't it?
it was
Maybe
like
not
8
that
months.
long, but
It was
yeah.
a few months.
Yeah, it was definitely like a couple of months. So
So I guess
don't know.
that's fair. But I think this is kind of like.
It's different for sure, but that's that's just the only thing that I'm like, oh boy, I hope that they don't fumble.
This is more like them trying to figure out their schedule rather than them actually making content and updates, overhaul to the game, right? It's
right.
It is different, but it is also true that Akatsuki, right?
Right, they're silly little company, them.
They're silly guys. Omatsu's silly guy.
They are silly. This is true.
Well, yeah.
All right, but
Sounds good.
I think that's it, right? There's no other questions from our side.
That's
Yeah,
it.
chat. Anything else you got before we get out of here today? I will say it is very exciting times for Dokkan though. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle it.
I agree.
Yeah,
The-
it's cool. I think
That's
it's
really good.
it's awesome
Next week
too
we'll have the
because
part 2 LRs, right?
yeah, next week we'll have the
Yeah, next
Lars.
week we'll know who the units are. In fact, next week they should be out, right? Because I think last
Yeah,
year
I
the
would
units
think so,
came out
yeah.
on like a Thursday or Friday. Was it Thursday?
Like, you're amazing.
I think last year it was Thursday. So
So it might be Wednesday this year,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah, so-
we won't know for sure until the
Yeah,
the little like news
the
video.
announcement. Yeah, that'll be on Tuesday. So I would think we would at least. I mean, we'll definitely have the kits.
Yep.
And
we should have the
animations
units
and
in the
art
game.
and all that stuff. Yeah, I would.
And
think
hopefully,
that-
we'll have all pulled them as well. So
I hope so, man. I'm hoping so.
And then
I'm
I
going in this with a
believe-
fat 70 stones. So.
I believe we can give you guys the a little bit of the sneak intel for those of you that are here right now. I'm pretty sure we have confirmed, Minato, a guest for next week as well. We won't say who,
Yeah,
but we do have a guest
confirmed
Yes,
for
okay.
next week's podcast.
Yep.
And I mean, if it's, I don't want to. I don't.
I was going to
won't
say,
anything.
I think I'm going to say that I was going to say the same thing as you, but let's just say that if one of the part 2 units is Goku Black, they're going to be very happy about it. So
Yeah, we'll
There you-
say that.
there you
right? That's what I wanted to say, but I was like, should I? Well, we'll keep a lookout. You guys will.
Yeah.
You guys will like
Yeah,
this.
you know,
guest,
you'll-
I
Does
know.
I
You'll
feel.
find out soon. Yep.
Yeah.
But-
Don't forget to follow the Twitter account as well for updates, because obviously whenever we're gonna be, I mean, I'm sure all three of us will be retweeting it like crazy, but
Yeah.
we do have a Twitter account for the podcast, so definitely follow us on there as well.
Yep.
For sure.
To see updates about all that kind of thing. So it'll be cool.
Definitely. But yeah, that is the end of episode 2 of the Slot One Super Podcast. Thank you everyone for stopping by, even if you're listening on Spotify, you're watching the
thank you.
VOD. You guys are all awesome. You're very special to us. We thank you very much for the supports, and we'll catch you next week with episode 3.
Yep.
See you next time, guys. Bye.
So.
Bye.